almost without exception, there's been a reason for the chapter that I've been reading. It almost always has had to do with something going on in the world or with the people that are here that day. This chapter has nothing to do with anything, and I have no friggin' idea why it's come now. So maybe more will be revealed after I do. Last month I read of the downward spiral of Andi and Lenny's once idyllic marriage due to her giving up pot and him not so much. It's his crumbling career at the hands of his nemesis, Marty, and his idolized boss, Rob Holleran, host of TV's Holleran Hour. Despite it all, Lenny's still her Homer, and she's still his Marge. We were planning our annual trip to LA. It was to be a second honeymoon, falling just a few days after our 10th anniversary. I'd suggested we renew our vows on the beach behind the Lowe's Santa Monica. Lenny was going to be wearing his tuxedo anyway for the Emmys. It seemed like just the right thing to kickstart our union. Lenny's tufts was still in style and fit him perfectly, despite his having put on a couple of pounds. Nothing a tailor in some thread wouldn't accommodate. I dug my knee-length Pila Rossi wedding dress out of hiding. It had been dry cleaned, stuffed with tissue, and was in remarkably good shape considering how much time had passed. The satin blue-white inch-thick horizontal pleats were, for the most part, still pressed and in place. I stepped into it, pulling up from my ankles, giggling as it enveloped my curves. As I began to pull up the zipper, which extended from the base of my butt, or my, what is it called? Junk. My junk, my rear trunk, my junk in my trunk. I was stopped almost immediately. No amount of Jenny Craig or Pilates was going to return my hips to my pre-mommy 30-something proportions. I dieted and exercised like crazy prior to my wedding. The dress had started out a size 6, and by the week before the wedding, after a month of slim fast, it had to be altered considerably. It was literally built around my body, which at the time consisted of a flat tummy and 36-inch hips. Tracking down the store where I bought it, I asked if it was possible for it to restore the dress to accommodate my revised shape. Everything is possible for a price. My ego rebelled. For weeks I considered what it would take for me to get back to my pre-baby form, realizing that nothing short of starvation and a scalpel could accomplish it. I finally abandoned the whole idea. If I couldn't fit into my damn dress, I wasn't going to take my damn vows. Second honeymoon, here I come. We needed a break from the kids, our parents, the daily stresses, and a chance to try to find fun. We hadn't had any in so long, and I'm not sure either of us remembered how to do it. We still laughed and had some good times, but they were few, and frankly, not good enough. We were fighting all the time about basically everything. The kids, money, Rob, money, money, and of course, there was also the marijuana. His marijuana, I should say. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, I was running around trying to get my arm through the coat sleeve of the trendy leather jacket I had chosen over the bomber that Lenny had brought home from the free box. The free box was a treasure trove of mysterious wonders sent to Rob Holleran that he kindly made available to the staff on a first see, first grab basis. Lenny liked the free box a lot, and so did I, our kids, our friends, and even Jack's school. Swag is a beautiful thing. Barely able to move, I was already regretting my choice. I pretty much stopped sleeping the 1st of September in anticipation of our trip. We were leaving the kids in the very competent hands of Mary, nanny extraordinaire, who'd been with us for years, and 2 of these Emmy trips already. But those were just quick turnarounds. Cookie was going to be close at hand bringing food and getting Jack to soccer. I knew they'd be fine. But how could I get through a week without my babies? 7 days without their sweet, wet kisses. Mommy, can I kiss you on the lip? The heady smell of their slept-on hair. The feet of their peachy cheeks. The feet of their peachy cheeks. The feel of their peachy cheeks. Little fingers entwined in mine. I ached for them already, and I hadn't even left the apartment. The Today Show was on as I added lipstick and a compact to my purse. Crash went the first plane into the World Trade Center. What the pilot must have had a heart attack or something. I was racked with guilt, all my failures coming to the fore. The times I was more focused on my phone conversation with Aunt Marianne than on my baby wanting to share a joke. Reading the newspaper when Jack wanted to play. Leaving the playground to take a toke. When I yelled, lost my patience, or said something my mother would have said. Oh shit, the time I pulled Jack's hair. I can't believe I did that. The horrible truth is, I did it again. Twice in 7.5 years is forgivable, isn't it? Especially if you add Sydney's 3.5 years. That's only 2 times in almost 11 years. There's absolutely no rational explanation or justification for my horrendous behavior. I adore my children. I worship them. Kiss them millions of kisses every day, tell them I love them constantly, laugh at their jokes, applaud their dance, marvel at their writing, hang up their art, celebrate their brilliance, and love them unconditionally. I hope that redeems me. It doesn't, though. I can be a cold-hearted, nasty-ass bitch when I'm not paying attention. Reaching to turn off the TV, I snapped, "Homer, hurry up, the car's waiting!" Crash went the second plane. We saw it. Was it possible? Could 2 guys have heart attacks in the same hour while piloting planes in the same city in neighboring buildings? That plane looked like it was headed straight for that building. What the fuck? At that point in my selfish little brain, all I was thinking was, shit, this stuff always happens in 3s. My paranoid thinking was quickly overruled by our vacation plans and the Emmys. We grabbed our luggage and ran. "The airport's closed," our neighbors shouted as we flew past. We jumped into our waiting car. "It's our second honeymoon, damn it!" Driving east on 125th Street, which was bustling with morning commuters, we looked south and saw the smoke billowing through the air. At Lenny's request, the driver turned up the radio. "This just in. A plane has crashed into the Pentagon." We were yakking like mad, not really listening, and then we heard something about the White House, and we realized, the end. It was time to go home. Something beyond terrible was going down. This could not be happening. As we inched back on 125th Street, a female reporter on the scene at the World Trade Center was calmly commenting on the current activity until she whispered almost breathless, "Oh my God, it's coming down." And then she shrieked, "The tower, it's coming down!" Goosebumps are running down my spine even now, recounting it. At the time, it made my blood run cold, and I will never forget the sound of her voice. As the taxi pulled into our building driveway, I jumped out, oblivious to the fact that it was still moving, and raced up the steps to Sid's preschool, conveniently located in the lobby of our building. I frantically recounted for the director the events to date. She'd been busy doing paperwork and didn't know a thing. Hysterically, I raced on, "Get the children inside now! We're being attacked!" Impatiently waiting for the elevator, I tore up the 4 flights of stairs, bad knees and all, and threw all our stuff down. Lenny had the car out front, in front of our building, just as I got there. The 1-mile ride to Jack's school was interminable. The streets were empty, the smoke still pouring upwards from the south, the radio scaring the shit out of us. What in the hell was going on? Was this it? The end of the world? Would the nukes be flying? Children dying? This was something I'd never considered I'd live to see. A radical in the late 60s, barely a teenager, I went to Progressive Labor Party meetings, protested the Vietnam War, and marched on Washington. I sat in, survived riots, but it was nothing like this. As we approached the school, I leapt from the car and raced to the elevator. I'd like to say I ran up the stairs, but frankly, I just didn't have it in me at that point. Jack knew we were on our way to the airport, to board an American Airlines 767 to LA. A thoughtless substitute teacher who also knew decided to share with the children that 2 planes had crashed into the towers. Jack asked if the planes were taking off or landing. He took a little comfort in knowing that his mommy and daddy were leaving, not coming. I can't imagine his fear, his terror. For 1.5 hours, he sat there trying to push the horrible thoughts from his mind. As the elevator door opened, I could see Jack sitting on his desk, head in his hands. I couldn't get my feet to move fast enough. His face registered surprise and relief in the seconds before I got to him. Grabbing him, tears pouring down my cheeks, I couldn't hold him tight enough. Feeling his confusion, I didn't let him go. Trying to compose myself so I wouldn't scare him further, I thought, has he ever seen me cry? Are you surprised to see me? I said, trying to sound lighthearted. Yes, Mommy, I'm so glad. He buried his head in my shoulder and squeezed my hand. What'd you hear? I asked. That's when he told me his takeoff and landing theory. Taking his hand with a quick goodbye to his dumbass teacher, I led the way out. When Lenny saw us approach, he jumped from the car and scooped Jack up in the safe embrace of familiar love. Getting into the car, we should have turned off the radio, but we didn't. We couldn't. Stopping several times, we bought all the water we could fit in the car. I'd been grocery shopping the day before, so we knew we'd be okay with food. Arriving home, clutching Jack, we made a beeline for Sydney. Mary had arrived and was watching TV when we entered, having just hung up the phone with my dad in Florida. She was unaware that we'd never made it to the airport, and now my dad, all alone in Lauderhill, was thinking the worst. For 2 hours, I tried to call him, but the circuits were busy, busy, forever busy. When I finally reached him, we both needed a drink. Instead of the glass of wine at the pool bar at the Lowe's Santa Monica, Lenny and I shared a bottle of red at a small cafe on the corner. It was late afternoon, almost 8 hours after the unimaginable. 5 miles north of the World Trade Center, we watched in numbed horror as men and women covered in ash and debris silently walked past the cafe window, looking like costumed actors in a George Romero movie. When the world fell apart, every minuscule part of the infrastructure crashed within. The reality was unknown, the fear so strong you could smell it. I was paralyzed, as was just about everyone. Lenny was thankfully off for the week. We were supposed to be vacationing and losing another Emmy. How the hell was he ever going to write funny again? He knew how to do that, though. He was actually quite brilliant at it. Lenny's first official day at Hollerin' Hour was the Monday after Princess Diana died. How do you figure out what's going to make Rob Hollerin and America laugh after that? But he did. Doing it again a few days later after Mother Teresa died. Can you imagine your first week of work, a job, the right arm to your hero, and you have to be funny with all that shit going on? It's interesting things with comedians. I've often found them to be very serious, depressive people, yet they think in punchlines. There wasn't a topic or a situation that Lenny could not make funny, except, of course, the current state of our marriage.